Today we celebrate the courage, talent, and hard work of 12 very deserving Mount Clemens Middle and High School students. While most students ran away from it, these students took on the challenge of the Mount Clemens Optimist Club Oratorical Contest head on and became better young people because of it. Let's please take a moment to applaud their extraordinary efforts. We'd like to recognize the unending support of the Mount Clemens Optimist Club for our students. This is the 5th year that they have sponsored the essay and oratorical contest here, and over those years they have awarded our students with about $12,000. The Mount Clemens Optimist Club also supports our chess and travel clubs, Career Day, Real Talk Day, and Honors Breakfast. That definitely deserves some applause. We also would like to acknowledge the support of family members and community members also in attendance, as well as the teachers who couldn't attend because of their classes. So on behalf of the Mount Clemens Board of Education, Superintendent Teresa Davis, and the staff and students of Mount Clemens Middle and High Schools, I welcome you all to the 2018 Mount Clemens Optimist Club Oratorical Contest.
Good morning, everyone. Let us stand for our invocation and pledge. Everyone, please stand. We're going to ask that every head be bowed. Oh God, you have given us to appreciate the goodness of the world you have created. Help us to appreciate our own successes and to share those with others. Help us to practice our optimism and service to youth as we talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person we meet. As you help us in making our optimism come true, may we spread the same optimism with others in our community as well as our own. Help us to treat all with kindness and respect, and to do unto others as we would have them to do unto ourselves. These blessings, as well as all blessings, we ask in your name. Amen. Amen. Let us repeat the pledge. Remain standing, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jerry Kuhl. I'm the organizer, one of the organizers of this event, and our challenge right now, we're going to decide whether we're going to start with the boy or a girl. What should we do? Ladies first, okay. Okay, the students have a letter number, so I'm going to call that letter, and you're going to come up and you're going to give your speech. So we will start with girl A.
Where are my roots of optimism? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to tell you where my roots of optimism come from, and also the meaning of optimism letter by letter in my eyes. The O in optimism means outstanding. Any and everything you do is outstanding. The P in optimism means positive. You must always be positive even if you are having a bad day. The T in optimism means terrific. Any and everything you do is terrific. The I in optimism means incredible. You may not know it, but any and everything you do is incredible. The M in optimism means marvelous because you are always marvelous. The I in optimism means impressive because you may not know it, but something you do can impress someone. The S in optimism means self-confidence, because never let no one make you feel like you're not enough. Finally, the M in optimism means magnificent. Anything you do is awesome and is unbelievable. Therefore, to me, what optimism means, that means what it means to me. It can mean so many different other things to other people. So I think my parents and other family members inspire me to be as positive as I am today. They push me to do things that I do today, like playing basketball and dancing. Without them, I would not be doing all those things I do today. Is there anyone in your family that inspires you to do the things you love and not only meet your goal, but fly past it? What makes you happy? Does your family make you happy? Does your pets make you happy? Does anything, make you happy? The things that always make me happy is playing basketball, dancing, my family, and my pets. What are you grateful for? Are you grateful for life? Are you grateful for your family and friends? Are you grateful for having a warm place to sleep at every night? Are you grateful for, I'm grateful for having family and friends and having a warm place to eat, a warm dinner to eat every night. So one day, me and my friends were hanging out, and they asked me, how do you do it? You had so many awful things happen to you, and you're still so cheerful. What gives? I do it by being positive and thinking good instead of bad, and just keeping my head up and don't think negative. You could do many things to stay positive, like don't hang out with negative people. If someone is gossiping, tell them you don't want to hear it and walk away. Like Ben Bennett once said, having a positive mental attitude is asking how something can be done rather than saying it can't be done. Or like Peter McWilliams once said, to avoid situations in which you might make mistakes, but may be bigger of all. Or like Anais Nin once said, we don't see things how they are, we see them how we are. Stay positive. To stay positive, I either listen to positive music or we read positive quotes. How can you stay away from negativity? Change your language. In that case, don't change the way you talk, but change the way you put it. Instead of cursing, avoid gossip. If someone is talking about someone behind their back, tell them, I don't want to hear it, and walk away. The reality, and many people feed off of negativity and just don't feel right if they're not grasping about it. So, optimism, as you can see, is very important. You always have to stay positive to be happy and to succeed in life. To reach your goal in your life, you must have optimism. In order to make it through obstacles and challenges, you must have optimism.
I'm sorry, I should have told you, there's no clapping, no applause until after they're all through speaking. Okay, so try to remember that. That's my fault that I didn't say that. But our next speaker will be Boy A.
Use this one. Where are my roots of optimism? The question, where are my roots of optimism, to me means that you ask what drives me. To answer that question, I must state my purpose in life is and how that correlates to the question. My purpose in life is to live a life that makes me happy, not something that will cause others to dislike me. People in today's society are always saying, become greater than others, or strive to become greater than average. And to be honest, there's nothing wrong with being average. If you so much as feel being average makes you happy, you can live with it, then go ahead. For me, being optimism means to just live a life that makes me feel good. I don't really care about all the glory achievements. Optimism is needed for everyone to do things to live on to the future. Yet most people these days are victims to depression, due to mainly school, broken love, and work, if we're being honest. My roots of optimism comes from my family, God, my horoscopes, and what I intend to do in the future. My family knows what type of person I am. I'm geeky, I watch anime, sporty, and do well with people usually. My family inspires me all the time by always being there for me when I'm in a bad spot, by saying we can hang out sometimes, or we should do this. That shows me that they really do care for me and they truly believe I can become greater. If one of my family members is going through it or needs some assistance, they'll always know they can come rely on us, even if we're at bad times. Family is family. And while knowing that in my mind really makes me feel like I have nothing to worry about, and I can go about my life feeling better. Most people with families these days don't even like each other nowadays. They don't even talk no more, like they're not even family. So that's why I feel that is an important thing. The small things do count for someone like me. Overall, my family is one of my role models to look up to, because most people are too forgiving these days. I am, of course, a Christian and do believe in God because I know He watches over me, and to make sure if I'm going through it, He'll stop the pain that I'm going through. God is the one who made everything, created our beautiful earth, and put humans and other life forms on His beautiful creation. I can get my roots of optimism from God because He has been there in the past to help me out and countless others. Whenever all hope is lost, I won't stress, I'll pray and try again. I'm a very religious person and do believe that God is real, and I do believe everything He has done in the past as well. One other crazy thing is I don't really go to church as often anymore due to just inconvenience. But every time I do go, it's always some verse that always correlates to my problem in life. I know this doesn't really make sense, but I also believe in my horoscopes, and I know they don't really go together. But for some reason, every time I read it, it matches my day perfectly. Daily horoscopes is a weird thing to gain optimism from, I won't lie. But for some reason, when I read it, it's right, I find it spirit-lifting. I love looking up my sign and reading the memes on myself because it's actually accurate and show what I do or who I am. Like, for example, David Pearl states, Geminis are extreme talkers when they're not shy, even when they're rapidly talking to themselves, or they're just two-faced with multiple personalities. Those two examples are perfect about who I really am. It doesn't really matter to me if it makes sense or not. For some reason, I could just sit there and read up on these all day because most of the time it's really right. I just find that interesting in my opinion. In the future, I want a good job that pays a lot and isn't too much of a drag to work in. I keep changing my mind today as to where I want to work and why not is bad. I find optimism through this because some of my family members are living beautifully, and I can do the same if I keep up what I have now. And the funny thing is, the people who are living beautifully have had terrible student lives in the past. If I do average or overcome what they done, I can do better, and I am right now. I don't need a big house, just not a small house. I don't need the most money in the world, just not the least money in the world. I don't need the greatest reputation the world has ever seen, just not the worst one. I just want to be in the middle. All these things bring me optimistic thoughts, help me strive for what's something great in my future, so I can live and set another goal to accomplish.
Our next speaker will be, Our next speaker will be Girl B.
Where are my roots of optimism? My roots of optimism stem from all of the bad things I've been through in my life. As a kid, I was always the weird one. I never kept friends as a kid because they always picked on me depending on how I looked, my size, or my shape. I've always played alone because none of my family members were old enough to play with me. I always had a family member full of boys. I was the only youngest girl out of all. I was never allowed to play with them because my family was scared I would get hurt. So most of the time, I stayed alone. As I got older and older, I started to see more and more in life. I started to see more in my 5th through 8th grade year. I was getting picked on because of how I looked. I didn't have the clothes like other girls, I didn't have the phone like everyone, and I wasn't as cool for kids to speak to me. I started to go down a dark road during this path. I started to make myself something that I wasn't, and I knew I wasn't. I started to think more and more about myself that wasn't right about myself. I started to think negative upon how I was doing things, how I was feeling, and how I knew I wasn't like everyone else. I never had someone to really understand how I felt or anyone to talk to about the feelings I was going through besides my sister. My older sister was there for me, but wasn't there all the time. And through all this, I had to take different classes and different therapists to help me cope with my emotions, to help me feel how I was feeling, and to help me realize what was going on in my life. And throughout all of this, the worst thing that happened to me, my oldest brother died in my arms, taking his last breath. It hurt my heart to see my brother lay there lifeless, knowing that I couldn't help him. It broke me down into tears. I was grieving for weeks. And the week after his funeral, I had to go into surgery. I was out of school for at least a month. I didn't know how to feel upon all of this stress going on in my life. In my 9th grade year, I used to get into fights in and out of school. I've never stayed in school for at least a few days. I had to take anger management classes. My therapist said it would be a good opportunity to help me understand my anger. No one knew what I was capable of. After all that, my 10th grade year, I had to see life for what it was. I had to realize that stuff was going to get thrown in my face just to see how I was going to deal with it. Even though I was doing everything that I could, I was still in the darkness, but I had to push through just to see the light. And now I walk around with my head up, not giving a care in the world what people think negative or feel negative about me. I try to help everyone that go through the same thing as me. I try to show people that there's always light in the darkest cave. There's always a brighter star in the darkest night. And now I try to help people see the brighter side of things. I see good in almost everyone now. When I was younger, I didn't see good in anything. I didn't see good in my family. I didn't see any type of good in myself. But my family and friends were the ones to help me through all my negativity. They showed me that even if I'm down, even if I'm upset, even if I'm depressed, I could see the light in everything. I try to help people even when I'm upset myself, but I love to see a happy person. I love to see a smile on everyone's face. I try to help everyone as possible as I can, and I thank God for the people that are in my life that help me get through my stuff. My mother, my father, and all my closest friends. The very person that I thank the most is my grandmother. She showed me that even throughout all her pain, her cancer, and she's only 74, walking around with a big smile on her face, does everything she loves, and she asks me for help every day. I asked her to myself one day, "Grandma, why do you stay so happy knowing that you go through what you go through?" She told me, "It's optimism, baby." She told me she could keep a smile on her face no matter what. And I sat there knowing if she can do the same thing, knowing all the pain she grew through, I'm pretty sure I could do the same thing. I don't understand why people could walk around with so much negative in their life knowing that it's always the brighter side of things.
We now have Boy B.
Where are my roots of optimism? A lot of people here today are going to talk about strong, positive role models in their life that seeded the thought of optimism in them. My road of optimism started on December 5th, 2014, when my father took his own life. It changed me for the good and the bad. It always taught me to keep my head up and always forgive people, even when the anger blinds you. This day, I decided to walk the rest of my days on this earth looking at everything from another point of view, because you never know what a person's past has to tell. A great novel writer by the name of Dr. Seuss said, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happens." You can't only pray to God for all the good things, you have to thank God for the bad things too. You can learn from every situation and problem you go through. Another wise man named Frederick Douglass said, "Without failure, there would be no success." You have to look at every problem as a learning standpoint in your life. You can learn from everything that hurts you, makes you sad, makes you cry at night. You can take that and build on it so it'll never happen again. I walk with hopeful and confidence that I can inspire everyone that I meet to be more optimistic. The pains of my past can only predict my future. I take every problem that I faced and I turn it into a learning point. The chain reactions of this happening could spread a wide love in the world. We wouldn't have so many hate groups that we all come against. If we all come together as a whole, we wouldn't see color anymore. We would be strong and together. So if we stop pulling down and start lifting up, optimism could rule the world. The success of my roots of optimism started when I lost a family member. My roots were embedded. My roots traveled miles. My roots stretched mountains. But following this, I knew that my life goal was to inspire everyone I met to be the best person I possibly could be, because I knew I didn't have that strong father figure in my life anymore. I knew that I had to become a man on my own. I went through the early years of high school without a father, but I made it. I taught myself how to shave without a father, but I made it. All these experiences just taught me to think more optimistic in the worst situations you could possibly be in. Going through high school without a father was very difficult. I struggled, missing that strong, positive role model that I had for all them years. But I knew I had to go on this journey on my own. I had to become a better man on my own. The path will be hard, I know this, but I will be attending college because I made it through high school on my own. Missing this strong, positive role model in my life really hurt me. But I take everything that happens for the bad and I try to make good of it. My roots of optimism started on December 5th, 2014. And my roots of optimism won't end until I'm lying on my deathbed.
We have girl C.
Where are the roots of my optimism? It makes me happy being alive every day, and that I woke up and I didn't pass away in my sleep. So that's one reason where I get my optimism from. Another reason where my optimism comes from is the relationship I have with my mom, my dad, my friends, and other people. And I know they care about me, they love me, and is kind to me as well. And they want me to be successful in life, and also my family and friends encourage me to do better in school, get my grades together, and so I can become a lawyer and get people that want and need justice. Some of my optimism comes from the relationship I have with my friends. My friends help me be optimistic. I once accidentally kicked the ball and broke my neighbor's window. I was afraid to say anything, but my friends helped me tell my neighbor what happened. My mom called the repair company, and the repair company came to fix it that day. My neighbors was happy to get an apology and a new window. This would be an event or an example of a bad event ending up to be good or bad. The first day I came to Mount Clemens, my reading teacher was the first person that inspired me to do better and have fun at the same time. The most important thing he taught me was to be who I want to be. And when I put my mind to it, I will accomplish whatever it is, no matter how hard it is or how hard it gets. So that's another reason where my optimism comes from, because he taught me an important lesson. And to be honest, all my teachers taught me an important lesson and give me great advice, and I'm proud of that, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be the smart person I am today. When I first met our math teacher, she taught me an important lesson as well. She told me that math and reading is going to follow me. I never really paid attention to it until my math and reading test came up. My math and reading test, when it came up, my math was a lot of reading in it, but just a lot of problems. My reading test was the same, but just not a lot of math in it. When I went back and told her, she told me, I told you, it's going to follow you. And when you need this, and you're going to need this in life. And since she told me that, my math and reading scores has went up, and I want her to be a part of my optimism spirit and to let her know that she played a big part as well. And that's where I get my roots of optimism. And I hope you find out what the roots of your optimism is as well. Thank you.
Good morning. You can say it back. Say it back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's loosen up real quick. You won't need a tissue for my speech, I promise. I promise. Where are the roots of my optimism? Where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is in an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither persons nor property will be safe. Frederick Douglass. Nobody can give you freedom, equality, justice, or anything. If you are a man, you take it. Malcolm X. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into your friend. MLK. These are more than just quotes. These are more than just symbols that come together to make words. Behind these words, there's power. That is where the roots of my optimism lie. The roots of my optimism lie that every person in this auditorium today has the power to move mountains and to change lives. Just behind the letters we put together to make words, the words we put together to make sentences, the roots of my optimism lie in the fact that with this power, anyone today can be whatever or do whatever they want to in this life. The roots of my optimism lie in the fact that with this power, I'm going to change lives. In fact, with this power, I will be anything and everything I want to be in this life. You can use this power. I use this power every day. Oh, you can use this power every day. From speaking what you want into existence to giving a speech in your school's auditorium. Your words have power. The roots of my optimism lie in the fact that with this power, we can rule, influence, educate, and lead. The roots of my optimism lie in the fact that all of us has the power to change lives and change the environment around us. But with this power comes great responsibility. I know everybody loves a Spider-Man quote. With this power, everyone has this responsibility to speak for the people who cannot, to educate, to uplift, and to energize. Everyone has a responsibility to their fellow man to help and to uplift. Every once in a while, take your power around the corner. Room it, perfect it, because this will be your greatest power up in the game we call life. But now you're probably thinking, how do I use my power? I use my power every day. I use it on an everyday basis. I use it when I'm not even thinking about it. I use it when I just tell somebody to have a nice day. With those simple words, I could have changed their day, their outlook on life, just by the power of my voice. I always use my power by speaking my future into existence and what I want in this life. I will move outside my social class with only having a 2% chance of doing so, because that's what I want for my life. I will go to college. Whatever I have to do to get there, it's whatever I have to do to get there, because that's what I want for my life. I will make it out of my situation. No matter what my dad does with his life, I will make it out. I will not be mediocre because I do not have room to do so. It's a fun fact my math teacher gave me. I will be over the poverty line. No matter what the stats and the figures say, I will do so. I will be a leader in my community, because that is what I want for my life. Seems a little extreme, but you leave an imprint on this world, and imprint on people with every word you speak and every interaction you have. With the words you speak, you can change your mindset, you can change your life. So never stop speaking, never stop using your power. With this power, remember to educate, enlighten, and uplift. That is where the roots of my optimism lie.
Speaker is Earl D.
Okay. Where are my roots of optimism? Do you know that every year more than 3.6 million referrals are made to child protection agencies involving more than 6.6 million children? The United States has one of the worst among industrialized nations, losing an average between 4 to 7 children each day to child abuse and neglect. I was blessed to not be one of them. The most prevalent form of child abuse is physical abuse at 28.3%, sexual assault at 20.7%, emotional neglect at 14.8%, and emotional abuse at 10.6%. Even though these percentages change and decrease, it does not make any of them less significant. As a child, I faced both emotional and physical abuse from my mother. Most people that encounter these type of situations are expected to fail. I constantly face situations like repeatedly being yelled at and insulted on the emotional side, and physically being forced to get into a dumpster and almost hung. I was very distrustful, causing me to become very inconversable and cautious. I kept everything in until I couldn't take it anymore. As I stated previously, most who encounter these type of situations are expected to fail. Determination helped me to not be one of them. I'm sorry, I can't see. Hold on 1 second. Most that encounter these situations are expected to fail. Determination helped me to not be a part of that statistic. There are a few main things that helped me to be where I am today. Prayer, school, and finally, my parents. Prayer, a solemn request or help for expression of thanks addressed to God or a subject of worship. Despite whatever issues I saw my family face, they prayed. When I first began dealing with certain obstacles, I was trying to understand them and face them on my own, but it became evident to me that I was unable to get through my issues alone. After feeling very close to the edge one day, I began to cry and I decided to pray. This was a huge peak in my optimism. After prayer, I felt so relieved and I noticed that everything began to ease. After that, every problem that I had, it seemed to become obsolete because I knew that all I had to do was ask God for help. Prayer helped me with forgiveness. This was an obstacle for me on its own because once I realized that I was affected so much by the things that I experienced, I developed a new layer of anger that disappeared through prayer. Happiness. After all that I faced, I did my best to laugh and keep a smile on my face. But prayer and God gave me pure happiness. Lastly, God gave me self-control. Before, I was very quick to be angry and explode or react to everything that upset me. But after praying for a sound mind and peace, I am now able to remain calm in certain situations or even prevent myself as getting as angry as I want to or expect to. Secondly, school was one of the main things that helped me to get where I am today. My biggest motivation was my grades. School was my scapegoat, and I knew that me succeeding would be positive. Due to this drive and motivation, I have never failed a class. I am on track to graduate from high school this year, and I will be attending the college of my choice. Lastly, my family. When I say my family, I am mainly referring to my aunt and uncle, the people who stayed with me until the end, or some may even say my new beginning. They have not only been such positive influences, but they have also been patient. Throughout all of my stress and my struggling, they were there finding new solutions, wiping my tears and listening. They have been the greatest and strongest support system for me, but also my most encouraging reasons for my optimism. In life, we experience trials and we become discouraged and decide to stay down. But with patience, courage, and support, we are able to be more optimistic, overcome our fears, and fight for our destiny. My hardships are where my roots of optimism come from, but my determination is where my success comes from. Thank you.
Next speaker will be Boy D.
Where are my roots of optimism? Where are my roots of optimism? Well, to answer that question, what does optimism mean? Well, optimism is about looking on the bright side of things. For example, when you get into a car crash and survive. You might not be happy about what happened to your car, but the bright side is that you're alive. That answers what optimism means. But where are my roots of optimism? Well, that just means where I get my optimistic attitude. I get it from my family. Because of my family's optimistic attitude, I was able to survive cancer. Because of their support, I got a more optimistic attitude. As Nicholas M. Butler once said, optimism is essential to achievement, and it is also the foundation of courage and true progress. Optimism can come from anywhere, whether it be from a video game, TV show, or anything else like your family. For as long as I've been alive, my family has always been near the roots of my optimism for many reasons. Because of their support, I was able to survive cancer. They helped me to survive by getting me to my appointments on time, making sure I was healthy. Therefore, I got to live my life for the rest of my days. Because of the positive and optimistic attitudes, I found myself having an optimistic attitude. Optimism can originate from different forms, such as a sad or bad event. For example, if you got shot and survive, that'll be bad, but at least you're alive. Another example is the ending of the novel Old Yeller. The dog died, but it found peace. I guess you could say I also get my optimistic attitude from there as well. Optimism is the root of all happiness. Optimism, like I said, can come from many different things. My optimism comes from my family because of all the things they've done for me. They've supported me through all my hardships. It's because of them I'm still alive today. Without the love and optimistic attitudes of my family, I wouldn't be alive. That is why my family is the source of my optimism. I thank them for helping and taking care of me when I needed them the most. They are the reason of my optimistic attitude towards life and everything else. Optimism is the only thing that keeps some people going. Without optimism, this planet would have died a long time ago. Without my family, I wouldn't be the same person I am today, even if I didn't have cancer. My family is the only thing that keeps me going. If there was no optimism at all, there would probably be no people on this planet. That's why we have things like family and friends. Without them, where would the optimism come from? It's because of them we develop these optimistic attitudes. They are the reason why most people don't give up on life. Optimism, as I said, is looking on the right side of things. Optimism is where happiness comes from. Optimism can originate from something bad or sad. It is from those two things optimism comes from. Optimism is what we rely on during rough times. Optimism is the one thing that most people hold on to survive. It is the reason we, the human race, don't give up. It is because of this the human race are superior on this planet. Now I have a question for you. As I said, I get my optimism from my family. I want to know where your roots of optimism come from. and to know who or what gave you your optimistic attitude, whether it be your family, a movie, video game, or anything else, and to know how they gave you that attitude.
Where are my roots of optimism? Storms make trees take deeper roots.
Storms make trees take deeper roots, said Dolly Parton. Storms are a challenge to the lives of trees. The trees can't survive without strong roots. Optimism is like a tree and must have strong roots in order to endure life's many storms. My optimistic roots have been formed since I was a child by many things. The primary sources of my optimism come from my family, my own achievements thus far, and from simple logic. My family has influenced my optimistic habits by not only encouraging me, but also by inspiring me. My family is an inspiration to me because my parents beat the odds. My father was tired of working under other plumbers, so my mother started a whole new company. By taking a risk and using a new website known as Service Magic to get leads on jobs, our company began. It has been in operation since 2005, and has mostly 4- and 5-star ratings, run by my father. An important lesson taught to me by my family is that by working hard and thinking outside the box, you can solve most of your problems, and to never be satisfied with discontentment. An infinite amount of things could have gone wrong, but belief in the possibility of success, optimism outweighed the possibility of failure. My mother's taking of this risk taught me that success is real, and so began one of my first lessons in optimism. My family has encouraged me to strive to be the best in all things that I pursue, leading to my success in many things. I am taking the steps necessary to get to where I need to be in order to achieve my goals. When I get older, I already know what I want to do, and I have a main plan and a backup plan. I am taking steps that will work for both. My main goal is to pursue a career at NASA, ideally an astronaut. But something very important required for being an astronaut is, besides degrees in math, science, and the required physical capabilities, is a specific personality trait: leadership. In order to make sure that I display this trait, I attended a 7-day leadership summit at Harvard University this past summer. I really feel that this summit helped me to become a better leader and also made me more comfortable talking to people from different cultures and living on my own. My backup plan is a career in news production or reporting. A step I'm taking to reach that goal is working for my local cable network, gaining knowledge and experience in the skills necessary for such careers. If I am taking such steps to reach my goals, then logically I should be able to reach them. Even as an optimist, however, backup plans are important. As an optimist, obviously I believe that things can work out, but that doesn't always necessarily mean that they do. Logically, I think that success comes from optimism. I would consider myself to be what I would call a logical optimist. There are 2 types of optimism. The first type of optimist is the stupid optimist, which is basically a happy nihilist, or someone that believes that there is really no point to anything. Believing that things will work out no matter what, they move through life never really trying to do anything. As a kid, they might think, why should I do any schoolwork? I'll just pass anyways. As an adult, they may think, I am content with this pointless job. Some may fall back on their religious beliefs as an excuse, believing that if they go to church once a week, then they're all set in this life and in the next. Contrasting this, a logical optimist, such as myself, believes that it is only logical to believe that if you work hard, you will succeed. That if you are respectful to others, then they will respect you in return. And if you focus on your victories, you will not have defeats. As a pianist, I have seen the benefits of this mindset firsthand. Working hard and many hours of practice, some of them feeling a little bit sacrificed, led me to place first in the Level 5 Classical Piano Division of the American Guild of Music's regional contest. In conclusion, my roots of optimism have grown up from my childhood, starting with my family's achievements and hard work, leading me to work hard and achieve things for myself. But driving all this is and has always been the pure logic of optimism. Persistence wears down resistance, said William J. Whittier, meaning that hard work can help you to reach your goals. Even when there are obstacles, learning from your optimistic roots can lead you to success.
Point E.
Where are my roots of optimism? We are a lot like trees. We sometimes deal with things that break the tree apart, and we need those roots. When we achieve our goals, those roots become part of that tree. They support us, and therefore we are successful. If we don't have those roots connecting to that tree, the tree will eventually fall. Many people are optimistic from many ways, but the question for most people is, where do you get your optimism from? The question can vary from person to person. My roots of optimism come from various people that have not only inspired me, but other individuals as well. One of the people that I look most at is Elon Musk. Now, you would say that he has billions of dollars and he hasn't had any problems with his life. He's rich, basically. But times weren't always like that for him. He had to deal with struggle. He had to deal with his business almost disappearing. He was in bankrupt 3 times. But instead of giving up, instead of losing hope, he had optimism. He went from living in his car to running one of the most successful car companies there ever was, and actually running his own space exploration company. Another person I'm really inspired by is Bill Gates. Bill Gates played a massive role in the technology industry, making products and hardware that was both seamless and performed just as well. But in order to make a product that worked so fluently and was so perfect, he had to have optimism. He spent nights working on his project, working on the original Windows software. He argued with Steve Jobs, wondering how he would compete with Apple's macOS during this time. But after countless weeks and years of him not giving up, in 1995, he released Windows 95. It was software that was different from any other platform, and it changed the way we use computers today. Now over 1.5 billion people use the Windows operating system today. In order for him to achieve that goal, he had to have optimism. As a child, I was abused. Several occasions, I was thrown to the ground, told I was worthless, told I would not succeed myself, and I wouldn't do anything about it. This affected my life, and it changed the way I saw things. It changed the way how I viewed the world and how I made friends. I completely shut myself off the world and didn't believe in anyone. But then when I went to another school, I met 4 of my best friends I've ever had. Those friends have encouraged me through everything, no matter what. Every day when I get home from school, we talk on the phone, and they help me through so much. Instead of giving up on me, they have been the only friends that have helped me through my last 4 years. Instead of me giving up to the abuse and not realizing who I am, I did different. I changed the way I thought, I changed the way I looked at the world, and I began being optimistic. They have truly made me a more positive person. Instead of giving up, I've become a better person because of them. Optimism is not something that you gain, but but something that you learn over time, that you gain from someone. Instead of me giving up, I kept trying until I succeeded my goal. Like all these other people have in common is that they don't give up on their goals. Instead of failing and giving up on their products or their software or their company, they use that as an advantage. Instead of giving up, they use those failures as a learning opportunity. And with the people that I have been inspired by, they make me a more optimistic person.
Girl F.
Where are the roots of my optimism? Can't you see? My roots come from the trees, birds, and the bees, and not because of what you think. It resonates with me in its natural environment. The air that plants release is the air that I breathe, and when I hear chirping birds and rustling leaves, I know that that's where my optimism lives. But why is it that whenever someone thinks of nature, they systematically associate it with being calm and peaceful? It's simply untrue. Have you ever watched Discovery Channel or Lion King, where Scar literally pushed his own brother off a mountain? Have you ever seen the hardships that nature has to go through? It has to survive, live up to other people's expectations of a peaceful life, and remain calm while being ripped from the earth, as if it never lived. And in spite of it all, it still perseveres, ready to face the world. Although we come from different backgrounds, I like to say that we have similarities that I cannot ignore, because these are my roots. Growing up in an apartment complex of 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and 1 shower, it was survival of the fittest. And being the youngest at the time with 6 other kids who are just wonderful people, the last one there wasn't a rotten egg, it was a cold shower. I specifically remember times where I would purposely wake up at 6:30 in the morning just trying to get a hot shower, and I'd turn on the shower ready to sing my tunes. It's just cold water. Cold. But I've always been able to adapt. While people were praising the birth of androids, I continually played Brick Attack on my Nokia. When my mom was laid off her job, I didn't blame the poverty mindset or urban deindustrialization. I was happy because I thought they let her go so she could finally pursue her dream of opening the hair salon she had wanted to, and she had always told me about. And at the age of 12, when times were tougher than usual, I strapped up and went to my grandma's house because she was kind enough to let me live with her. As many times as she jokingly, hopefully jokingly, said, "When are you leaving, sugar?" I've always said, "I'm gonna live with you forever," because I'm grateful to still be living with her. As a firm believer in the butterfly effect, a scientific theory that a single occurrence, no matter how small, can change the course of the universe forever, I could easily say my optimism would not be what it is today without her. Generosity. Because like words, actions speak to me. Derogatory terms, violence and bullying too speak to me. When someone calls you a name, I'll use stupid for example. That's not only judgmental, that's derogatory. When you've been beaten because you're stupid, that's not only cruel and scarring, it's an act of violence. Can you see how all these things are bullied together by people's opinions? These are just inklings of my roots and how many people have tried and failed to lumberjack my optimism. Yes, I know people like this are everywhere and anyone. They could be a close friend, a distant cousin, or that random guy Bob that you keep looking at for no reason. But I refuse to believe that people can't change. All the women that I have seen, whether it be trials or tribulations, they have put up a wall of green and it seems I can't even see their faces. But I still have nothing but love and respect for them. Love and hope too. As I stand now, I like to think that because of them, I've learned that I should be a more optimistic person and realize that my experiences are to be cherished rather than ignored as if they were a problem that I need to throw away. As Ruth E. Wrinkle once said, you live longer once you realize that any time spent being unhappy is wasted. And that's so true. Even as my roots may age and I may grow thinner, I will never be as foolish as to deny my roots. They are what leads me back to where I came from, a place of equal inequality, where everything I said was wrong, but now my words are good enough. Where people took what they gave instead of giving back what they had, and my pockets once plentiful, now vacant because of blessings I gave to others, just to keep them from that war. And I have no regrets, because when you're going to war, you gotta get ready. And I've always been ready for anything, because my roots of optimism have given me the power to embrace that I'm better now, that I'm where I should be in life, that I have my family's kindness, and that I'm living up to my mom's dream, keeping the same good grades my grandma and father instilled in me, and pursuing a higher education with a full ride to the college of my choice, instead of cursing bees, burning trees, and flipping birds. Simply because when someone said I was pathetic, I said not in the least. Thank you for your time and attention.
Our last speaker will be Boyd Allen.
What's wrong with you? Where are my roots of optimism? When asked this question, it caused a wave of questions to flood my conscience. The reality is that sometimes the roots of optimism don't come from the most optimistic situations. The most impactful situation that comes to mind is growing up with an absentee father. For a little over 8 years, I did not have a male role model. The one person who should have been that role model and taught me these things made a conscious choice not to step up to the plate or even attempt to earn the father title. Making the transition from boy to young man is an arduous task. Doing it without the guidance from the one person who was supposed to teach me these things made it even harder. A mother cannot teach a boy how to be a man, let alone teach me how to shave. She will not be able to teach me the jitters I will encounter on my first date or even my first heartbreak. In addition, my mother lacks the understanding of what it is to be biracial, let alone a black man growing up today. Not growing up with a role model and growing up in a community with poverty mindset, I would see constant reminders of what I didn't want for my future. My environment was filled with low expectations of expectations of African Americans. Therefore, I pushed myself as hard and as possible to hold myself to the highest standard, accepting nothing less than the best. About 50% of African American males grow up in fatherless homes. In the 2012 Census Bureau report, 70% of all gang members come from fatherless single-parent homes. Let's just think about that for a second. 70% of gang members are caused because someone didn't want to step up to the plate, where all you had to do was be in your kid's life. From a young age, I refused to become another statistic. I purposefully chose staying out of trouble, being respectful, and helping out as much and as often as I could. I never let anything deter me from my goals. The environment I grew up in was not all cupcakes and unicorns. Being one of only about 10 African American students in school was challenging. The educational environment was full of low expectations for its African American students. No one person pushed me to do my best in the early years of my life. I learned quick that I had to become my own cheerleader and start holding myself accountable for my own actions. At times it was difficult, but giving up was never part of my dictionary. I had no clue as in 2008 a man entered my life. I had no clue as what the stranger could possibly want with my family at first. I hated the fact that this man thought he could step into my life and play this father role. I wasn't used to this love that the stranger had to offer, nor was I used to the guidance that I was about to receive. He became my cheerleader. He started pushing me to go even further when I was hard-headed and failed. He encouraged me to get up and try again. He taught me to be rich in positivity and expectations. While surrounded by others with poverty mindset, living in poverty was not apparent to me until I heard how other people were growing up. How many of you have ever taken naps for dinner? For those of you who don't know what taking a nap for dinner is, it's when you don't have any food in the house, but you're hungry, so to get over it, you just take a nap for dinner. I began surprising not only myself, but my peers as well. I became the role model that I was looking for. I began helping out in the mentor program at my school, became the school photographer and the go-to guy because I always followed through on what I say I'm going to do. I have helped out younger students with their homework, as well as being a student ambassador for new students. I started feeling joy in helping out the kids who were going out through the same struggle that I was. Seeing their accomplishments gave me a good feeling. It was like I was inspiring change. It also fueled my drive to push even harder to be who I wanted to become. I turned all the negativity that surrounded me into something beautiful, and I wouldn't change for the world. The culmination of my optimism is a result of my own personal positivity and motivation in combination with my determination and having a positive role model. Although we didn't always see eye to eye, he stayed around. He didn't fold under pressure, so to the man sitting in the back who never gave up on my family and I salute you. I salute you because I know it wasn't an easy task. The optimism that I see out of you is one of the many reasons why I'm here on the stage today, living a successful life. I would like to thank you for everything you have done for me. Without you, who knows where I'd be. Thank you.
Now, we can applaud. I think they all did a fantastic job, and we begin to see the concept of optimism and the optimistic creed that we are part of. And my next thing that I hope one day we have a junior optimist club within this system. I'd like to see some of you guys form your own club and do some of the things that you talked about today, because that's going to make you a better person and it's going to be helping the community at the same time. So I'm looking forward to starting Optimist Club within the high school and the middle school. Right now, we're going to take a break, and we're going to ask you to come back, I think, about 12:30? Was it, Joe? Yeah, 12 o'clock, yeah. Around 12 o'clock, we're going to hand out the awards for the essay contest and the oratorical, and that includes anybody. There is a few people on this stage here who participated but didn't make the cut. So we're going to recognize everybody who participated in both programs. We have certificates, we have medals for the 1, 2, 3 winners in both essay and oratorical, and we also have some medals for you, and actually there's some money too, I think. So hopefully those that can make it will be able to come back at 12 o'clock, and we'll have our award ceremony. Okay, I think we'll start off with the essay contest winners. I think some of you guys already know who the essay winners are, but there's a few other things for them, if I can have some help over here. We'll start off with, we had an honorable mention for the essay contest, and that was Soleil McFadden. And third place was Janay Felts. place. And the essay was Serena Greer. Well, you got something else. You'd rather have this, right? Thank you. And first place in the essay contest, Angela. Angel Police. Okay, if any of the other participants are here for the essay contest, Dante Walker, is he here? No. Joshua Allen, Anna Walker, Kyle Clark, Cameron Burke, Brianna Hadley, Kamaya Farrell, Mackenzie Palmer, Taylor Colson, Doris Price, Sardasha McNeil, Anya Freeman, Darian Downing, okay, we've got just a few more. Clarence Wilkes, Gavin Cox, Tyler Aikman, Kamaya Bethea, Tamara Peterson,
Diana Verushka.
okay, Janay Wilson, David Lafredo, Letitia Sims, Romani McFall, Nikia Shaw, Chad Shaw, Marcellus Cruz, Taylor Colson, I'm sorry. India Haynes. Savannah Shaw. Destiny Smith. Casey Allen. Tamar Toombs. Christian Lara Hernandez. Francisca Hernandez. Joshua Brownlee. Gerard Cox. Caleb Walker, he's here. Sherquice Wilson. Don Williams. Lindsay Volz. And Evan Smith. Okay. Those are the ones that get points. Okay, now we've got some essay winners. How should we do that? Let's start off with.
You're going to tell me when one can go on?
Pardon?
You're going to tell me when one can go on at the end, or what? Should you tell me now?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Which one of these? First of all, I would like to thank Jerry Kuhl and Mike Schichtel for chairing this program. It has been just a delight to listen to all of you. I think all of you have written essays and delivered oratoricals. You all did a great job, and I continue to hope that you will continue to pursue this area because it's so needed in today's careers. I want to thank the staff of Mount Clemens High School and Junior High who gave so much time to their students to allow them to prepare for this. I also want to thank the families who really play a big part in their students' student lives and support them in this. I thank all the students who participated this year. I encourage you to continue next year to do even better. You all did a great job today. And the seniors, I think best of luck to you in your future pursuits. And now we can go on with the program. So thank you.
Okay, I think we're going to do this in reverse order. Should we do girls first again? Yes. Okay, third place for the girls, Danielle Broom Harris. Put the medal, we're going to have take your pictures, so put the medals on. We'll take pictures of all the medal players, medal winners. Second place for the girls, Angel.
Yes, we'll take it.
Here's the wrong one. First place for the girls, Janay Felts. For the gentlemen, third place for the boys, Aaron Davis. Second place for the boys, Caleb Walker. And first place for the boys, Levi Petty. Okay. So we have some things for the other participants. Chad Shaw. Kyle Clark. Armani McFall. Evan Smith. Oh, that's right. Leela Sears, she's. Oh, that's right. There were a couple people who didn't make the final cut, but they still deserve recognition for participating. And Aliana Carter. Sherquice. Harrelson. India Haynes. And Notori Reedus. Okay, now.
Evan Smith's not here?
No. A big thing. Last year, we were able to send 2 students to the area competition, which is the metropolitan Detroit area. And this year, they changed the rules, and we can only send 1. So one of the 2 winners is going to the next level. And it happens to be the, which one is it now? Pardon?
It's the female.
The female. So you go to the next level, so you have a month of work and practice. And if you do well in that, you win that level, you go to the state competition. In the state competition, there's a scholarship. So I'll need to get some information from you before you leave today. You got to sign stuff, and I need to take some form to get fair signatures and stuff like that. I really appreciate the way that this program has worked this year and then every other year, and it seems like it gets better all the time. And I would like to be able to get all the winners up here and take some pictures with our medal winners. And if the medal winners from the essay are here too, let's put them all up on the stage. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand up front and center. All the medal winners. Pardon? Yeah, you've got 2 medals. So does this guy, right? Okay, so let's put everybody up front there, where we can get some pictures.
Can we stand more up, guys?
Okay. And we want to thank you all. And one thing, stay up here for a minute, because you guys are going to lead us in the Optimist Creed, okay? And we're going to close the presentation with the Optimist Creed right here. And I want you all to say it and see if the audience to participate too, if it's in your, if you got your programs. Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. To talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet. To make all your friends feel there's something in them. To look at the sunny side of everything and make your optimism come true. To think only the best, to work only for the best, and to expect only the best. To be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own. To forget the mistakes of the past and press on to greater achievements of the future. To wear a cheerful confidence at all times and give every living creature you meet a smile. You give so much time to the improvement of yourself, you have no time to criticize others. To be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to prevent the presence of trouble. Once again, I want to thank you very much. I really appreciate the help and cooperation we get from the school administration. Without that help, we wouldn't be able to have this program. So you guys are very fortunate, and I hope you appreciate it.